The Washington Commanders didn't just win a football game. They detonated a statement across the NFL landscape. A team that many expected to limp through the season without its young signal caller instead unleashed a 41-point offensive avalanche on the Raiders. It wasn't just the score, it was the swagger, the body language, the rhythm. Washington played like a team discovering something new, something dangerous, something that could tilt the NFC race before anyone sees it coming. And the wild part? This wasn't the same team we saw a week earlier. They looked faster, sharper, hungrier, like a group that suddenly realized its identity. Every snap had intent, every drive carried weight. This wasn't survival football. This was a team imposing its will. The kind of shift that makes you ask, was this just a one-off explosion, or the first glimpse of a franchise waking up to its true potential? That answer, as it turns out, begins with the offense. Not flashy deep shots, not desperation heaves, but an attack built in the trenches, behind a line that punched holes, and a rotation of running backs who treated every carry like it was a chance to set the tone. That's where the heartbeat of this victory lived, and the story only gets better from there. The Raiders never found footing because Washington's ground game turned the field into a runway. Blocks sealed, gaps opened, and the rhythm felt like a drumbeat pounding out control. This wasn't finesse football, it was deliberate, punishing, and beautifully simple. Every snap chipped away at the defense's legs until, by halftime, it wasn't about if the Commanders could break through again, but when. The numbers were eye-popping. 201 rushing yards, 6.3 per carry, and 3 touchdowns. But the real story was how those yards came. Jeremy McNichols provided the spark with a 60-yard explosion, bouncing off contact, hitting the crease, and racing daylight like it was drawn up in destiny. Chris Rodriguez Jr. hammered early, churning out pile-moving cuts that demanded safeties crash down. And rookie Jackery Krosky Merritt brought late energy, weaving through traffic and finishing runs with authority. Together, they turned Washington's backfield into a weaponized committee that dictated every possession. And yet, this wasn't just about running the ball for yards. It was about unlocking the next level of the offense. Because once a defense has to respect that kind of ground attack, the quarterback suddenly holds all the cards. That's where Washington's story takes its next sharp turn. Marcus Mariota didn't just step in. He took control like the moment had been waiting for him. No panic, no overthrows, no desperate heaves. Just smooth execution and timely decisions that kept the Raiders on their heels. Every read looked calculated. Every scramble arrived at just the right time, and the entire huddle seemed to exhale under his calm command. The stat line proved the eye test wasn't lying. 15 completions on 21 attempts, a 118.6 passer rating, plus 40 yards on the ground with 1 touchdown through the air and another on his legs. Cliff Kingsbury's scheme leaned perfectly into Mariota's strengths. Quick throws, play-action looks, and the occasional option keeper to punish hesitation. Protection held when it mattered most, and Washington strung together drives that didn't just move chains, they drained the Raiders' spirit. But Mariota's composure wasn't just about running an efficient system. It was about setting up the chessboard for the unsung weapon in this offense, the one piece that shifted how everything else unfolded. And it came from a position most defenses don't see coming. When John Bates went down, Washington could have lost a critical cog in its run-heavy plan. Instead, second-year tight end Ben Sinnott stepped in and became the glue. He wasn't flashy. He wasn't chasing highlight plays. He was sealing edges, clearing lanes, and then leaking into open space when safeties crept too close to the line. That subtle impact tilted the balance of the game. His blocking grade of 72.9 wasn't just a number. It was proof of dominance, second only to Washington's best lineman on the day. That kind of credibility allows Kingsbury to roll out 2 tight end sets without tipping his hand. Sinnott can line up in line, motion across, or flex out wide, forcing defenses to stay honest. And once defenders overcommit to the run, Sinnott slips behind linebackers, giving Mariota clean targets that keep drives alive. That quiet versatility may have been the real breakthrough of the day. Because when one player can blur the line between blocker and receiver, the entire playbook opens. Suddenly, every first down becomes a guessing game for defenses. And when that happens, an offense doesn't just survive. It starts dictating the pace of the season. Washington's offense didn't just explode against the Raiders, it evolved. The ground game chewed clock and set tone. Mariota turned efficiency into control. Sinnott's emergence gave Kingsbury new dimensions to play with. Together, they created a layered attack that felt sustainable, not fluky. But here's the real cliffhanger. As good as the offense looked, the real thunder came when Washington's defense took the field. Because while the Raiders tried to breathe, the Commanders' pass rush was already closing in. The Raiders thought they had a chance to regroup, but Washington's defense didn't let them breathe. The moment the offense built its cushion, the front four turned the pocket into a collapsing cage. Snap after snap, rushers fired off the line. Lanes closed, and timing vanished before plays could even develop. And the scariest part? They didn't need exotic blitz packages. Just raw, disciplined power that made every throw feel rushed and every drive feel doomed. It wasn't just disruption, it was domination. 5 sacks rained down with Bobby Wagner hammering twice, Dorrance Armstrong adding his own, and even veteran Von Miller showing that he can still deliver when the lights are bright. The Raiders' run game was swallowed whole, limited to just 93 yards. And when it came to money downs, Washington slammed the door shut, holding Las Vegas to a brutal 21.4% conversion rate on 3rd down. That kind of efficiency doesn't just win games, it breaks opponents. But what makes this surge more intriguing is how sustainable it feels. When your defense can generate that much havoc with just 4 men, the possibilities open wide. Blitz packages become a luxury, not a necessity. Safeties can sit deeper, linebackers can roam freely, and coordinators on the other sideline, they're forced to rip up their game plans before halftime. Yet, as strong as this performance was, it also revealed the challenges Washington must still navigate. Even in domination, the Commanders weren't invincible. Injuries struck like lightning, pulling stars off the field one after another. Terry McLaurin, Will Harris, Percy Butler, Marshawn Lattimore, and rookie Trey Amos all exited at different points. On most rosters, that kind of attrition would have shattered the structure. Washington bent, but it didn't break. Still, the long-term question looms. Can this team sustain its intensity if depth keeps getting tested? The secondary, even before the injuries, showed moments where spacing broke down. Las Vegas didn't fully capitalize, but sharper offenses will. Without Lattimore, the corners leaned heavily on scheme discipline, and while Amos flashed early, losing him exposed how thin the depth chart really is. Against teams with elite receivers, those cracks could widen. And while the pass rush masks a lot, there will be days when the pressure doesn't arrive in time. But here's the flip side. Every weakness carries opportunity. Injuries may have forced fresh faces into the spotlight, and some of those names might end up being more than just emergency fill-ins. That's where Washington's X factors start to shine. Depth doesn't just survive games, it defines seasons. Washington's backups didn't just hold the line. They showed flashes of something bigger. Rookie wideout Luke McCaffrey hauled in his first career touchdown, stretching the field late and proving he's ready to grow into a reliable option when defenses focus elsewhere. Safety Tyler Owens, an undrafted gem with linebacker size and safety range, showcased why coaches raved about his athleticism during camp, covering ground, flying to the ball, and giving glimpses of a future starter. Even Trey Amos, before exiting, put together coverage numbers that ranked him among the league's early season standouts. His quick adaptation in man coverage gave Washington an edge it hadn't counted on. And his ceiling remains high once healthy. These are the kinds of players who don't just fill holes, they change expectations. And let's not forget special teams, where momentum turned into a sledgehammer. Deebo Samuel's 69-yard kick return carved up field position, but it was rookie Jalen Lane's 90-yard punt return touchdown that ended the Raiders' hopes. That play wasn't just a highlight, it was a dagger. When your third phase of football becomes a scoring threat, you're playing with house money. So what does this all mean for Washington's future? They've now shown they can dominate in all 3 phases. The offense has found an identity with its bruising run game and Mariota's steady hand. The defense can wreck games with its front 4. Special teams has proven it can tilt momentum in an instant. That's a dangerous formula. But the ceiling depends on two things: health and consistency. If the offensive line keeps carving holes, if Mariota continues his calm command, and if Sinnott evolves into a true dual-threat tight end, this offense can carry them through battles. On defense, keeping the pass rush fresh and the secondary intact will determine whether they can stop not just the Raiders, but NFC heavyweights with deeper arsenals. The truth is, Washington may not have shown their ceiling yet. This wasn't just a fluke blowout, it was a blueprint. A layered attack on offense, relentless pressure on defense, spark plays on special teams, and a roster resilient enough to survive chaos. If this is the floor, the ceiling might just put them in the NFC's most shocking playoff conversation. So here's the challenge. Is this the new normal in Washington, or was it a perfect storm that can't be repeated? One thing's for sure. If they keep playing with this balance, the rest of the NFC won't see them coming until it's too late.